Treadlock now into the back line and gets with the both support.
Up over the top, gets a double.
And here's a coalescence from the high ground for Rolf, and wow, the timing on that one looks so good.
Really.
And fire gets two. That is crazy. Time and a great stick from Dal. That's three from him.
That's crazy, they make it one.
Hello, hello. Nice to see everyone here again. This is our second stream here for Vancouver Titans. I am Anthony Harbleu Ballo. So, let's see, I think they gave us a good 3 or 5 minutes before this next match is supposed to be starting. Hopefully, won't be too long, but hopefully, I'm down for anyone who just caught the shock match. That thing just went the distance, went 6 maps. I'm all down for another long showing like that. Yesterday, Vancouver fell slightly 3-1, but today they play against Florida Mayhem. So I'll give a quick rundown on Vancouver Titans roster again. This is only the second match of the season. They're still a newer team. Some people might still be learning all the newer faces from it. So today we'll do just a much faster rundown. On DPS, I think starting it's going to be Dalton and then Teru. So Linkser, I believe, will not be playing in the first match, which will be on Nepal. On support, we have Rolf and then Fire. And then on tank, we have Fried Wiener, who can now go by Fried Wiener again. Before, he was only Fried. He's back to the full name. And then Shredlock also on the tank lineup. So that's just a quick rundown of the roster. And they will be playing today against Florida Mayhem. I was able to catch a decent amount of the Florida Mayhem game yesterday, so this time I could actually make a much more educated guess, predictions, and whatnot leading into the match. So I will say, based off of what I saw from Florida yesterday and also based off of Vancouver, the big couple points I'd say Vancouver needs to look at is, number one, keeping Rolf alive. The fights where Rolf died early, which happened more in the first couple maps, it happened more on their first 2 maps yesterday, and as it went on, they got better. But if you lose your main support early, your Baptiste, your Anna, there's just no heals to be had. So he was doing a much better job those last couple maps, but as long as they keep him alive in those fights, it should go a lot better. That, and also just keeping everyone alive. And there were multiple fights where they went up like 1 player, sometimes even 2 players early in the fight. And it looked like Vancouver got either a little too aggressive or they just weren't sure how they wanted to take the fight. A big thing that happens is when you get that first pick, if you slow down and like just coordinate a little bit better, make sure you get the proper fight, that can make a lot better outcome of it. So I'd like to see them switch up that a little bit too. Other than that though, I think the tank lineups between the 2 teams are pretty even. OGE and Gargoyle on Florida is a pretty good tank lineup, but Fried Wiener I think was really the hot spot for Vancouver yesterday. He seemed like both his Diva and his Zarya play were doing really well, so I'd expect to see more of that. Other than that, I think the DPS, Dalton and Teru, are both going to have to be on their A+ game if they're going to go toe-to-toe with BQB and Yaki. Some of the better DPS out there on Florida, who both had really strong matches yesterday. Not that Dalton and Teru are any slouches themselves either, but when you're going to get some of the better ones out there, you need to be on your A game. But on the first map, Nepal, I definitely expect to see a lot of Teru on May. That's just how the map's designed. May is really good there. And then Dalton probably on McCree. You might see some other little weird comps, maybe some Echo or something, but I'd say without a doubt, you're going to see quite a bit of May there. And I believe I had one more point there. This is more just like one of my opinions. Personally, it looked like yesterday on the map Vancouver won, they took Gibraltar, and I think they had Fried Wiener on Zarya for a lot of that. Now, I'm not saying Zarya is always the best pick or not, but they did have their best success with him on Zarya, and his Zarya did look pretty impressive, so I'd still say expect to see him more on Diva than Zarya, but if it feels like they're struggling and just like running into a brick wall, that might be a switch they can do to try and, you know, catch the other team off guard there. Other than that, that's most of the points I have before leading into the match. Of course, we still have, you can predict the play with Sportsnet. If you think someone's going to win a fight or whatnot, you can always predict that. There's points you can win, other stuff like that. Also, if it goes to map 5, you can get 20%, or not 20% off. If it goes to 5 maps, you see what's in my hand here? This is a breadstick. You can go pop Pizza Hut. I almost said a different brand. Pizza Hut, if it goes to 5 maps, we'll give you away free breadsticks. They're delicious. These aren't Pizza Hut breadsticks. Theirs are much better. but you get the idea of it. That's what a breadstick looks like. Other than that, we have our merch store has a 20% off right now. The Vancouver Titans. You can get a cool hoodie, cool shirt, any of your favorite players. Other than that, that's most of the points I think I had leading into the match. I believe, how long do you think we have before it starts? It sounds like plenty of time. All right, well, we got a bit of time to kill then. If anyone in chat has any interesting tidbits or wants to, you know, chat for a little bit. So yesterday also, we only did it between halftime and at the end. This time, you'll be seeing a lot more of me between every map. I was getting bored. I was like, hey, let me come on more and talk more. And luckily, they're letting me do that. So between maps, I'll be able to give my thoughts, opinions, who looks like they're doing good, what they can switch up. I gave my prediction yesterday. It was a completely shot in the dark prediction. I said 3-2 Vancouver, but I hadn't really done my full research on Toronto. This one, after seeing Florida play yesterday and how Vancouver played, I think it still will be a close match. I'm going to say Florida will be a hard one to take down. I could see them probably taking it, but Vancouver 3-2. What can I say? I always like to... It's not that I'm not homeboying, fanboying Vancouver. I'm not forced to predict them or anything, just... I see the upset coming, and I would call it an upset. I think most people would say Florida is the stronger team. I think the fact that they brought back most of their same roster from last season, I think most people would say they probably could win it 3-1, 3-0, but I have to go against the grain here. I'm going to say 3-2. It's going to go that 5 maps. You guys are all going to get free breadsticks. It'll be delicious, but we do have also our keys to the game here. So before I gave what my lists were, what I thought were the important things they need to look for, but here I got straight from the producers themselves. Our keys to the game, powered by Best Buy and Intel. Great for gaming processors, love them. We got, so as I mentioned, definitely got to watch out for BQB and Yaki, the DPS lineup of Florida. They are two of the better ones out there in the league. Definitely, I'd say in the top half, probably top quarter. Not that Dalton, Linkser, or Teru couldn't like compete with them or go toe-to-toe with them. It's just they need to be on their A games if they're going to do it. Other than that, it did seem like Florida yesterday was running a lot of Winston, which I thought we were going to see more from these teams yesterday, from Vancouver yesterday, but they didn't seem like they were in that much. But OGE was definitely on quite a bit of Winston, so as long as they're watching out for that, trying to disrupt his jumps, that should help them. And then again, Yaki's Tracer, he definitely switched onto that a bit. I think I also saw him on Echo for a bit, so as long as they're keeping track of his swaps, it shouldn't be that bad. But again, Florida is a good team. It will be a tough match, but it's one that Vancouver definitely can win if they come out on their A game. Do I like Canada? Canada's cool. I've only ever been to Montreal myself, so I've never been to like Vancouver. But I did live in Washington, which I think was pretty close to Vancouver. Isn't it only like a couple hours away? Something like that, so might as well. If we keep the ults and not waste, we could win. I don't think ult usage was that big of an issue for Vancouver yesterday. Don't get me wrong, they had a couple where it seemed like some situations they were either slow to use their Mei ult, which is hard. If you know the other team has a diva, it is very hard to get a good Mei ult off. So I don't know if it was the issue yesterday. I'd say the bigger thing I noticed was, again, it seemed like there was multiple fights where they went up like 1 or 2 players early, and then instead of like slowing it down and making sure they win the fight, they would rush it and then just get picked off and lose a fight that they had no business losing. So if they clean up those fights and just play a little bit more safe, I think that'll actually end up helping them a lot. I saw some of that breadstick. I should not have eaten that on stream. That was a mistake. These are some of the wettest breadsticks I've ever had. You wonder if J3 will have a play for Florida Mayhem? Definitely not. I believe he is just signed for them as a streamer. Not that he's not a good player also, but I think Florida Mayhem is pretty happy with their current roster. I doubt you would see him game played at all in it. Other than that, though, it looks like, I believe Shock and Outlaws are still doing all of their closing statements and everything. I believe I've touched on all my predictions going into the match. I would say expect to probably see Linkser at some point again today. He seemed like he was playing pretty good yesterday, but... And the fact that it's still early in the season, I imagine Vancouver is still trying to, like, play around with their roster a bit, see who they want to start. But they are starting with Dalton and Teru again, which on Nepal makes complete sense. I think after... Let me go pull up the map list again here and see what's after Nepal. We had... Uh-oh. Where do I have this here? Do we know what the second map is? I can't find it on the list here. Uh-oh. I thought it was there. Uh-oh. Well, regardless, Nepal, I'd say expect to see again. Definitely a lot of May. Probably maybe some Zarya or D.Va being played, depending on which one they want to run there. Reinhardt, Winston. Pretty standard start. I'd be very surprised if we see any non-meta stuff on the first map, because it seems like Dallas Fuel, who are running like Sombra, other stuff like that. From everything I saw from Florida yesterday and Vancouver, it seems like both of them run a bit more standard lineups. So a lot of it will just come down to who gets the early picks in fight, especially on Nepal in particular. On a map like Village on Nepal, if you lose that first fight, it is so hard to retake the point. So that first fight on that map is going to be absolutely huge. On some of the others, like Sanctum, it's not quite as big, but on Village, the May Ice Wall, that first engage is going to be massive for who comes out on top on that. So it'll be big for that. Did I catch the Shock Outlaw series? I did. That was a crazy match. I don't think I've seen a match go 6 maps in a while. I would love to see this one go the same way. Have it start out with, we'll let Florida take a 2-0 lead, make it interesting, why not? But then we'll have Vancouver come back, make the reverse sweep, 3-2, free breadsticks for everyone at participating locations. Sounds good to me. Out of the underdog. Ooh. We do also have giveaways here, too. So, unfortunately, we don't have drops here the way the Owl official stream does, but we have our own giveaways. So, it's 100 Owl tokens, which can buy a skin by itself. So, you don't have to use it on Vancouver, but they do have some of the best colors out there. Blue and green. Are you kidding me? They're pretty great. It should start soon, right? Yes, this match, I believe they're just finishing their closing statements for the for the Shock Outlaws one, so within the next 5, at absolute most, I would say 10 minutes, but I would say more likely within the next 5 is when it should be starting. Is there a code I have to give some, or are you putting the general? Why not? We'll give it for the early birds. Anyone who's in here early, this will be for you guys. I only have one right now, so you can do this through the BNet. It's the BNet website, correct? They have to put it in that? Yeah, so through the BNet website, you enter in this here on when you're logged into your account. Free 100 tokens. Like I said, you can use on any of the Overwatch League skins, but use on Vancouver. They're pretty great. You can get Roadhog, Zarya, any of those guys out there. Other than that, though, I think... Let me look at my notes I had here one more time. Yeah, I believe I touched on actually most of the points I had leading into it. Like I said, this match should be starting within the next few minutes. The other one went much behind schedule, but when you have a match that goes 6 maps, you can't really complain about it. If it's that good of a match, which it definitely was. So, like I said, a lot of May is going to be played, I'd expect. Pretty standard lineups from both. I said 3-2 Vancouver. I'm sticking with it, but Florida is a very good team, and they looked very good yesterday against Atlanta. So it will be a tough task for Vancouver to come out on top. But I believe that's it for most of the points I had. If anyone has any other information, if you guys want to ever between maps, chat with me, ask questions. I can read what you guys said. The producers have said, hey, I'm allowed to read it, so works for me. But other than that, our match should be starting soon. I think, Okay, then yeah, we will have just a very short break before the match starts. Should be at absolute most 5 minutes. I can't see it being more than that, but it is Overwatch League, so sometimes, who knows. But I can't see it being long, but I will be back after this first map to give my thoughts on it, break down what happened in it, and then I will see you guys then. Thank you.
Treadlock now into the backline and gets with the both support.
Up over the top, gets a double.
And here's a coalescence from the high ground for Rolf, and wow, the timing on that one looks so good.
Really.
And fire gets 2. That is crazy. Time and a great stick from Dal. That's 3 from him.
That's crazy, they make it 1.
play your style, play your way, and just excel at it across the board. And I think that's on all their strengths, so I hope to see more of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one way to find out, and that's to roll the game, and that's about to happen. The teams are almost ready, so for us, the only thing left to do is, of course, predictions. And I feel like we're going to be once more united in our opinion. I'm going to go and head on with the Florida Mayhem. I mean, not much more you have to say. Florida Mayhem will do absolutely incredible good, and Vancouver Titans, I just don't think they can match up on a mechanical or individual skill level at all with any of the players on the Mayhem. What about you, Danny?
What's Danny taking? I just want to know what he's doing.
Danny, just curious what you're doing.
I mean, if Florida is going to play how they played, yesterday, I think this could be an easy win for them. So Florida.
All right, there it is.
I'm going with Prophet Danny. I'm also going for Florida.
Yeah,
no other reason needed.
I'm going with Danny. I'm going for Florida. Only for that reason.
Let's just get all wrong.
Yeah, it's not about the teams anymore. We're just predicting whatever Danny predicts, and that will come true. Exhibit A, the match we just got to witness. Now we're heading over to our castles. Bren and Josh, are you guys ready for this?
Oh yeah, more than ready. Zoe, thank you very much for your guys' breakdown on the desk as well. I don't know, Josh, how this is going to be living up to the match we just witnessed. I'm exhausted already. I've aged 20 years. It was backwards, it was forwards, it was going every single way in every single direction. But we're not even, well, I guess we are at the midway point of the day, I suppose, yeah. It's going to be an interesting one. The Florida Mayhem versus the Vancouver Titans. We've got two, I think, quite drastically different teams in terms of where the community in general consensus is on where to place them, I suppose, on like power rankings. But yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see what Vancouver Titans can pull out to try and combat and maybe get a win here against the Florida Mayhem, who are clearly the favorites.
Yeah, I think this kind of game is a good opportunity to assess the levels of various different players, different questions that we have about these teams too. We're at the very beginning point of the season. This is only the first week. And so as much as everybody wants to say our questions have been answered from the off-season, they haven't really. This is still just the very beginning of those little points. The Shanghai Dragons, they lost to Chengdu last year at the very beginning of the season too. These kind of things occur. And for the Florida Mayhem, this roster, we still have some questions about them. They looked excellent in their opening game. I was very impressed with how they played against Atlanta. But it's the consistency, it's keeping that up, it's being able to show us many different looks. And so these kind of games are the ones where I like to see kind of what Florida feels confident to show us here.
Of course, and you can see the starters here as well. I mean, I think the shining example as well, one of our narratives that we were carrying forward was, of course, OG. This is a guy that we had a lot of questions surrounding, of course, wondering how well he was going to be performing in this Florida squad. But so far, so good, honestly, in their sort of test match, I suppose, against Atlanta. He's been performing, I think, above a lot of the naysayers' expectations. For me, I always have faith in Florida. I'm just going to, again,
Sure.
throw that out there.
Keep cashing in that goodwill. Keep cashing it in.
I am cashing out the goodwill. And our opposition, the Titans, another team that's also made a resounding amount of changes here. And they really are going for that kind of scrappy underdog feel, I think, this season, more so than they were even possibly in the last one.
Yeah, this team is a very interesting one. A lot of people have got them towards the bottom of the table, but at the end of the day, these guys have got some veteran talent on their team. People like Linkser, who isn't in the starting lineup right now, but other people like Rolf and people who've been in the Overwatch League for a number of years now, like Fried Wiener too, who I love his name. I'm glad that we don't call him FRD anymore. So these are the kind of players where I'm interested to see whether we see one of them have a breakout year, one of them get ahead of the pack or carry their team to some big performances. And it's these kind of games where you don't expect too much of them, where you can see one of the players just pop off. A star moment from Teru, perhaps, a name that not many people are that familiar with. These are the games where something like that can happen.
You can see here in our Melee qualifiers presented by Xfinity, the first map in this series is Nepal. We're going to be heading into that momentarily, as well as the players are getting ready to go. One of the things that we saw, Josh, in the Florida Mayhem game, actually, was kind of their weakness, I suppose, when they were playing a lot of the rush compositions against Atlanta and struggling to keep up with that kind of pace. They definitely looked more comfortable when they were playing a lot of the double bubble. Would you expect this to be something that, the Vancouver Titans are probably taking into this series as a weakness to exploit?
I think most of the time, you need to build a foundation before you build the rest of your house. And for Overwatch League teams, that means that you need your own game to be solid before you can start thinking about prepping against good opponents and how to counter them and how to beat them. And I would imagine, just from the little that we've seen so far of the Vancouver Titans, that they're still in that process of building a really solid foundation for their team. They have a core that they've taken over from last year, and they've added in some new pieces, and that kind of stuff takes time. It just does. It takes time to be able to build a cohesive team system, get a bunch of comps down that you're really comfortable with, have map-dependent strategies. So I don't think they're going to be countering Florida so much as just playing their own game.
Well, here we have it. The teams are rolling out. You can see them taking vastly different approaches here. The high ground for the Vancouver Titans. Quick little TP play from Florida, so they're going to be early on, just setting up onto the point with the Symmetra. BQB still staying onto that role as well.
Yeah, and I'm interested in Gargo being on the Sigma here too. Not a usual pick, and something that they've tried before as well. It's going to allow Dalton to get into the back, and a quick little flashbang fan the hammer. So Mitsui would be happy about that.
He's going to be traded 1-for-1, but it does give the Vancouver Titans a bit of space now onto the point. Maybe they can capitalize. Maybe they can get a couple of more picks. You see the wall is going to be splitting them up. And they do manage to flip the point again into their favor, so you can see here going to be accruing a bit at a time, but already that symbol has been built up. BQB is going to start shredding, and the damage is done as the Florida Mayhem are going to regain control, flipping it over. And now they're in a pretty solid position, and look at this stagger as well. Brutal on the fried wiener.
It really is. His life is pain. He keeps getting staggered towards the end of these fights, and unfortunately this year we've got those amazing player cams where you can see all of our players' reactions to what's going on in the game. Whenever he's in that pile of diva form, he's just like, oh please, just end me already. Get me into the next team fight.
That's why they're trying to buff it in the experimental patch, you know?
Sure,
Make
yeah.
it more than
Give him the
direct.
250 damage on the core mech. Watch them try and stagger me now.
We'll see what the Ice Wall can do. It's a bit of a miss here coming through as the players, they completely split up onto the point. But it's Gangnam who's the first one to go down as Dalton is finding so much value and damage. Rolling deep. The Soundbar is going to be traded out by both these teams, but a little bit late from Slime.
A little bit late. That was an eon late, Brent.
I mean, I was being kind, Josh. I was being kind.
Four of his players had already died, and he pops the sound barrier towards the end of the fight. The Vancouver Titans completely outplayed them there. Again, with Dalton being this star player, he got the opening pick of the round. And he, along with some great ultimate usage and good timing on the push, delivers them now on a platter.
It does feel like a little bit of uncomfortable, I think, elements when it comes to these rush compositions, but the TP comes through. They're going to try and make it work here. The Blizzard, the wall is perfect. Teru again with some great plays to split up the rest of the team. The Vancouver Titans are quick to capitalize off it once again. Another team fight wipe.
Yeah, and now we see Florida go and make some changes in their composition. Gargoyle moves over to the Diva. I think this is a better pick, just straight up. I'm not really sure about this Reinhardt Sigma theory that they've been trying to integrate a little bit, but it hasn't worked out that great so far. They're now at a disadvantage against the Vancouver Titans, and Gargoyle's in a rough position against DMAC.
Yeah, Gargoyle caught out by the Deadeye there as well. He was trying to predict and eat it, I suppose, to try and save OG, but ends up getting caught out himself. Fortunately, sent back to the respawn queue, so he's going to get back in his mech and going to be with the rest of his team. But the Vancouver Titans now looking with 80% on the board, and steadily ticking upwards.
It definitely is. Florida are a little slow to be able to get off the mark on some of these pushes, and they're getting caught by the walls. They're really nice by Teru, actually. A new addition, and there's Shredlock. He gets the shatter, catches Yaki, and forces out that ice block.
OG's in so much trouble here, and he's been brought so low. The Blizzard ate up as well by Fried, and the overtime will tick, but ultimately no one from Florida is left standing to contest. And that's going to be round one going to the Vancouver Titans. Really solid understanding of how to play that comp.
I mean, today's the day of upsets, Brent. This is awesome. The Vancouver Titans come strong out of the gate and show Florida that they're not into... You can't be messing around when you play against any team this year. They're all capable of being able to take a match away from you if you don't bring your A game. That applies as much as it does to the Valiant over in the APAC region as it does to the Vancouver Titans.
Give immense credit, I think, to Teru as well with a lot of these ice walls. I mean, they've been so key in splitting up the rest of the Florida Mayhem. And it's what I brought up earlier, but this was a weakness of the Florida Mayhem, which is their rush composition in terms of the pace at which they want to play the game. They like to be a little bit more careful and considerate when it comes to their game plan. It doesn't really suit this comp well, but we'll see the teams are brawling, the walls are up once more, and it is Teru who goes down first, which is going to make it nice and easy. Fried Wiener unfortunately caught off at the side here, might get rewarded with a kill. Nobody was peeling for BQB, just got eviscerated. Still, I mean, see the Florida Mayhem trying to make sense of it all. They're struggling a little bit. The backward pin from OG does take Stretlock out of the fight. It's scrappy, it's a bit all over the place. But it looks like the Florida Mayhem are the ones who are currently large and in charge. You can see a little bit of point pressure as Gargoyle's just trying to get a bit of capture time on it. Might be able to come from behind here, and Fried Winner, yep, in a bit of trouble, gets the D-Max out. You see the amplification matrix from the back line. Means that nobody from the Vancouver Titans can really face them right now or risk getting blown up. And so it is the initial capture going to the Florida.
Now Gargoyle's Sigma looks a little better now that they're in control of the point because he can get on these off angles. That was an attempt at a shatter there. Yaki puts up the May wall as a bit of a bait. They drop it at the same time as OG lays down the shatter, but all of the Vancouver Titans players had an inkling that that one was coming towards them. Nobody gets caught by it. Florida's still in control of the point though, and it seems like they're reluctant to go aggressive in these moments. It's just Gargoyle splitting himself off, playing on an off angle.
What a massive gravitic flux. It's going to catch them to 3 targets, and that's going to set them up for the damage. Slime with the boop as well. Holy moly. So the Florida Mayhem, it was looking a little bit sketch, but they managed to make it work in the end. And you're seeing a bit of that indecisiveness, I think, from the Vancouver Titans, just rearing its head a little bit there as well. You know, when the amplification matrix didn't quite get what they were looking for, they looked a little bit lost in terms of their game plan and what they wanted to commit to.
They've got some ults coming up online here, and I think the main factor for the Vancouver Titans is not so much their ults, but their pace. Turning up the tempo is going to be huge against the Florida Mayhem, a team that's playing with a Sigma, and a hero that's going to get damage out over time, over playing on these off angles. They wall off the Deadeye here, and this is going to buy time for Teru to get up to his Blizzard. They have 70% though. A bit of point pressure, isolate Gargoyle and take him down with the Blizzard might be a huge pick that they need to be able to open this point up.
See the Deadeye coming out from Dalton as well, just to try and create a bit of space here. But again, it is slow, it's careful. You want to be turning up the pace a little bit. Ganamjin laying down his amplification matrix means that you don't want to be playing into it.
Look how isolated Gargoyle is. If the Vancouver Titans try and put pressure there, no one can help him. The Florida Mayhem will be too slow. And instead, Blizzard goes down on the main tank body.
Almost every ultimate that the Vancouver Titans have, but it ends up with Teru falling. Dalton's still around. Finally, they're going to punish Gargoyle for just being isolated onto the point. You can see the point will flip over now, so the Vancouver Titans recognizing what their win con was. But it's, yeah, still, currently where it stands, they invested a ton of ultimates to retake that. Now they've got the uphill battle of trying to hold on.
Yeah, I'd love to see Vancouver try and hold a little close here, but they recognize they're at a big ultimate disadvantage. Slime and Yaki get up to their ults. That gives them a big defensive ult, a big aggressive ult to be able to use too. But they've isolated Gargoyle again. This is a great win condition for Vancouver if they can play fast enough to get this pick and get back to the point. But Mayhem have already flipped.
They flipped the point, Josh. They flipped the point. And they might be one player down, but they're going to get the freeze now onto Fried Wiener. The Blizzard is going to be free as well. Unable to be 8 up. And the Vancouver Titans, they thought they spotted an opportunity, but the Immortality field was too good. OG getting pressured heavily there. Ends up going down to the Fire Strike. Unable to get the Earth Shatter off. The Vancouver Titans, I mean, it was a little bit sketch, but they're just about holding on still. Florida looking to contest this. They use the Matrix, the window. You can see it at the back again. But no one from Vancouver is peeking their heads out.
Hello.
Florida chose not to invest that many ults in that fight. They used the Blizzard, you know, to be able to just lock up that kill on Fried and make sure they took the objective. And then Ganamjin used his ult, but it was a little too late. But that does mean that Florida still have a huge amount of ults to be able to use. They can engage with the Deadeye and try and funnel people into an area. Gargoyle can get a huge flux off here if he wants to too.
The Deadeyes do stall out both these teams for a considerable amount of time. You can see Gargoyle battling onto the point. The Gravitic Flux is going to catch onto a couple of targets. It forced out the Immortality field. BQB getting the better of it. Up on the flank, and the flashbangs connecting and just doing work.
point is mine.
And now with the Florida Mayhem just rolling over the opposition, they've got them cornered in the offshoot of this map. They're going to have to contest the point at which they're doing, but the focus fire from Florida does not seem to be that concise. Not able to get this kill, finally getting the D-Mech here onto Fryweener, but look at this. Rob with another window. This is going to be a lot of damage consistently pushed in. Fire with a great boot. Gargoyle, he tried to power drive right into them, but just got punished for it immediately. And OG's been caught out of position. Frozen up again, off onto the sidelines, taken out. And yes, the Florida Mayhem have managed to flip the point, but at what cost? They've lost so many of their players. Overtime still burning, now the Blizzard as well. Teru having to go into the ice block just to try and contest and keep that overtime going. Boots back immediately. You can see the counter Blizzard also falling out, but nobody's taking care of BQB. The window is laid down. It's overlaying a ton of damage on top of what he was already dishing out. And that's going to enable the Florida Mayhem to take that one, but my goodness, Josh, they had to work for it.
Yeah, and that was incredibly sloppy as well from Florida. They're going to have to tighten their game up if they want to be able to come away with this clean win that they're looking for, to go 2-0 in their first week. This is way too close. I don't know whether you're getting this impression as well, Brent, but you can sense a clear difference in terms of their comfortability with the rush comps and the dive comps, and I think it's exhibited here by the fact that it almost looks like we're moving in slow motion compared to the Shock Houston game that we just watched.
Yeah.
All of the decision making is happening, it's much more labored, it's much slower. The way that they're playing is more like spread across the map, like they're trying to take map control instead of play as a deathball unit, and it just lowers the tempo massively. It's providing win conditions here for the Vancouver Titans. They have an opportunity to take this map.
Well, the teams are brawling immediately, and OG a little bit caught out, but he managed to get a great wall here onto Shredlock, frozen up, but no one's focusing down the Immortality Field still. OG's caught out of position, finally goes down, and is going to get into line of sight of his own Immortality Field, keeping him alive for a few brief moments, but not long enough. Shredlock will be the one to remove him from the fight. Quick little fire strike does the business. Now they've just left up to Gargoyle as one of the sole tanks. Not a lot that he can get done, but thankfully the rest of the Florida Mayhem seems perfectly adapt to it.
BQB and Yaki are getting so much work done whenever they have the opportunity to. With space and time to be able to hit their shots, they are managing to make work happen, which is perhaps one of the reasons that Florida wants to play a little slower. Allow Gargoyle and BQB and Yaki to take more control over it, rather than relying on precise teamwork and coordination. Let those guys shine. BQB's already up to that first Deadeye that's going to be really critical here at stopping Vancouver Titans from taking a lot of space. But that Amp Matrix on the other side, it's got to be walled off.
See the Amp Matrix used super early here. That's an initial pick immediately. Look at that, the icicle, the headshot. Teru finding it onto Yaki, just blown up without a trace. Now you can see Florida have to answer back with one of their own, and they do just that. OG again getting caught out, but a flashbang is going to save him into the Gravitic Flux. It's a ton of damage. Anything to work off? Yes, it is. The Florida Mayhem able to find a couple of picks. Just a couple of players left standing here, but the Florida Mayhem holding on. Only investing the 2 ultimates. Admittedly, they were pretty big at that. But they've got to be feeling a little bit more comfortable now winning that team fight when it was looking a little bit sketch early on.
Yeah, now they're in a great position. They have Blizzard to be able to use if they want to play aggressively here, but it seems like the tendency of Mayhem is to play kind of reactively, which means that your player to watch is Slime. As they come in here, they've got sound barriers on both sides. Florida Mayhem probably going to kite and try and get a lot of value. No, actually turning the pace up, trying to go aggressively, but this Blizzard is so deep. They've only managed to catch 5, but that might be the only pick that they need here. This is so messy from Florida. The sound barrier only catches the back line.
Yep, Slime only being able to save the supports. OG trying to clutch it up with a shadow, but gets met with his own. And the amount of times we've seen the MTD, that main tank difference, I mean, this feels a little bit different to the previous series that we've watched. The Vancouver Titans off the back of that, you know, Florida, I can respect the attempt there. Turn up the pace, trying to really catch the Vancouver Titans off guard, but they were in a really good position if they just kept playing how they were.
And also, nobody was on the same page as Yaki. Yaki was 3 miles ahead of the rest of his team, trying to isolate the Vancouver Titans inside that Mega Pack room. And that's a great play to go for if the rest of your team's on board. Looks like Florida are going for it again here. Gargoyle taking a bit of an off angle, looking for extra damage behind the Reinhardt shield to build up his flux.
Wow. That's going to be the Blizzard as well, locking them all up. A couple of players on the point. The Immortality Field is keeping them alive. But looking like they have to disengage from this fight. Yeah, BQB just feeding into them just to reset. Back to the drawing board for Florida.
Yeah, Fried on the Sigma too.
Yeah.
Fried swapped over in the previous fight to the Sigma, and so now they're mirroring the Rhine Sigma. Slightly slower tempo, value over time. And Gargoyle's got a Flux. This big ult can be a massive game changer, but you need to get your the opposing players into the right position for it, which normally means you have to apply pressure. This Deadeye's going to create a lot of space for them, though.
Wow, okay, yeah. The grasp not really doing too much work. I mean, he ate up a lot of the Deadeye damage, but the players are already falling on the side of Florida. Gravitic Flux is going to be used almost immediately here. Realizes there's an opportunity to catch some of these players off guard. Rolf goes down, just about missing the accretion. Going for the 1v1 with the shields, look at that. Brian ends up bringing himself down with his own hyperspheres. Still a winnable scenario for Florida. They did lose OG early on. He's only just about respawning, and the Vancouver TItans with that tank and support healer difference, they're going to be able to hold on to this point.
If Vancouver are smart here, they should be able to bait out the Blizzard from Yaki. They can try and prod a little aggressively, back off. They have a sound barrier to rely on as well. If they get caught, they have been completely caught.
Wow, completely caught out of position. Fire has to use the sound barrier very early on. Slime not close to one of his own, but they've got Shred locked down. They burnt him down. Slime needs to be able to build this up to give his team the advantage. OG stalling it out. What a beautiful shadow catching it onto the one player. And finally, the sound barrier is going to give them that HP advantage. Only a couple of players remaining, 91%. The point will go back into their favor here. The accretion just to try and stall them off. Shredlock realizes, I've got to take a risky angle. I've got to try and make some plays happen with the Earth Shatter. Not going to work. He's going to pay with his life. Fire just stalling the overtime as the players from the Vancouver TItans desperately try and hold on to this. With the amount of players that the Florida Mayhem have, all they've got to do is just focus their fire down, find the remaining players now. You see the Blizzard from Teru just trying to turn this around, but Slime just getting all the work done as well, zipping and zooping around the map. The Amp Matrix not going to be doing the business, and that's going to be the Florida Mayhem taking an admittedly very close map here against the Vancouver TItans.
But at the end of the day, they come out with the map win, and it doesn't matter how close they are. If you put them on the board, that's what counts, especially this season. You have 16 regular season matches. You can't afford a single one to slip through the cracks. Even if you don't quite bring your A game to a match, if you win it, that's what matters. It's on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Florida, they may find themselves on more maps that suit the double bubble style, which they're so good at. And maybe turning away from the rush style is probably what they're hoping for. But we're going to go to a short break. On the other side, of course, we're going to see the continuation of this series, ladies and gentlemen. You know, get some water, take a stretch break, but we'll be right back.
Wow, what a first match there. Down to the wire. The only better outcome I could have said was if Vancouver would have won it. But really, that's all you can ask for. 99 to like 99 pretty much to the third point on Koth. A lot of what I expected. You saw a lot of Sigma. I think they almost ran Sigma the entire time from Florida. And I think towards the end there, you even saw Fried Wiener swap to himself to match. So the big things that I noticed during that match, though, was... Let's take a look. At the start, the very first match on Village, it did look like Rolf was the first one to die there. And that's what I said yesterday was one of the bigger issues on their first couple maps. When you lose your Baptiste, your main support early, the fight's almost over right there. Unless your teammates instantly win it after, you're going to have a tough time. But after that first death on Village, he cleaned it up a lot better after that. So I was worried it was going to be like a replay from yesterday, but Rolf was doing much better towards the end there, so that wasn't as big of an issue. The other thing I noticed was the fact that Florida is running so much Sigma. I would like to see Teru try and be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more proactive with his Mei ults. Because the big reason why a lot of Meis play scared to use their ults is just because the way Diva Matrix works, you can eat it from like almost anywhere. It's a ridiculous ability, please nerf Blizzard. But the fact that they're running so much Sigma, you can look for an ice wall, look for some sort of engage. And it looked like Gargoyle was playing a lot of like flank Sigma, where he wasn't really even with his team to eat it. So as long as they keep looking for the ice wall engages there, and the fact that next map is King's Row, I would say almost without a doubt, Teru will still be in. I'd expect them to be playing more Mei there. I would expect to see more Reinhardt again, which you saw played there. You might see Florida bust out some weird things like Rhine Sigma again. But personally, the fact that it is King's Row, the best map in the game, my favorite map, I would love to see some Zarya played. I mentioned it earlier. The map that Vancouver won yesterday was Gibraltar, where they had Fried Wiener on Zarya, and he looked pretty darn good on it. So the fact that it is King's Row, the OG Zarya map, I would like to see Fried bust out the Zarya maybe, especially against if Florida ends up running the Sigma Rhine again. Zarya can be pretty decent against that. You get energy, and you just start shredding the shields. Now, I don't expect to see that. I imagine he'll either probably be on Diva or Sigma, but you never know there. Other than that, like I said, with the May, the fact that Florida has been running the Sigma, they just need to keep looking for proactive like ults with it, proactive ice walls, engages like that. But really, that map could have gone either way. It came down to the wire on almost every single point there. Like, I could easily see Vancouver taking that King's Row, but both teams did look pretty good. Good first match, I agree. The fact that, again, it went down to the wire on every point, you can't really ask for much more in COD. The slime difference, I don't know if there was no individual player that I think really was either the reason they lost or won it. Like, and believe me, I was trying to look to like see if I could pick out a player to be like, okay, this guy needs to step it up. This guy's popping off. But really, especially like the comps they're running, there isn't like a ton of space for individual like superstar like shining. It's all about just who's more coordinated in the fights, who gets that one very small pick on someone else. Like it's almost like chess. It's a lot of these like very small, minute things that can make the difference in it. A lot more chill with this chat. Yeah, compared to Overwatch League chat where everyone's just spamming trying to get drop stuff constantly, we keep it a lot more relaxed here, enjoyable. But other than that, let's see, we are going to King's Row again. 1-0 right now for Florida. I predicted 3-2 for Vancouver. I'm sticking with my prediction. The fact that that map was that close, if anything, I feel more confident in my prediction, but it still has a lot of Overwatch left to be played. But I believe this next match is starting very soon, so I will be back at halftime. If it goes to 5 maps, free breadsticks from Pizza Hut. Other than that, I will see you guys at halftime. Go Titans!
Very, very good player and was an important part of them in the of this team's success in the 2020 season. And of course, these statistics are taken from the 2020 season. The notably absent player here from the Florida Mayhem is Sly, who wasn't with the team last year and also took almost a year's break, essentially, from playing in matches because he was on the Seoul Dynasty, but not really getting playtime ahead of Toby after he had been a former player on that old Vancouver Titans roster. So this is him playing against his former organization, a totally different team, obviously, but this is a brand new addition to the Florida Mayhem in a similar sense that OG is. And speaking of the Vancouver Titans, they have made a substitution here as well. Dalton out, Linksa in as we head towards King's Row. So I'm imagining that Linksa is going to be playing more of that long-range hit scan. It's a map that we've seen quite a lot of teams go towards the rush for.
Yep, it is indeed. A bit more of that veteran presence as well. You can see the Vancouver Titans just laughing around, joking around. Spirits are high, it seems, moving into this one, and we're up in King's Row. That's probably part of the reason as well. Another map where typically you're going to see a lot of these rush compositions laid out, and it's really, honestly, what's kept the Vancouver Titans, you know, with a bit of a almost edge over the Florida Mayhem. You can definitely tell there's a slight bit of uncomfortableness when it comes to them playing those compositions. And you can see the team's raring
They still
to
look
go
happy
as
though.
well.
They still look high spirits on the Florida Mayhem side, you know? They've taken a little bit of break. They've calmed themselves down. They're coming into the rest of the series here.
I should
looking
hope they are,
confident.
Josh. You know, they're one map up.
Yeah, but I think the manner in which they got that map is a little concerning to fans on the outside. So I think it's, you know, it's always interesting now that we have the player cams to get a sense for what the team is feeling. It's easy to get shook if you only just win a map. But yeah, I think Florida are looking pretty good here. They definitely have some issues that look like could be systemic when it comes to the rush comp. But at the same time, the meta at the moment seems pretty open. You know, we're going to be heading later in the series to maps like Havanna, for example, or even Volskaya. There's a lot of different stuff that you can run on those maps. You can run double shield, you can run the double bubble compositions. You could even try and force something like that here. So I'm interested to see what Florida, what they showcase. Are we going to see an improvement of that rush mirror, or are they going to try and force OG back onto the Winston?
Well, what we were being teased is not what we're going to get. The Florida Mayhem are going to be going again to that kind of rush composition. Gargoyle still on the Sigma. It's going to be a heavy rotation all the way up into the hotel. You can see them looking to try and skip a lot of that chip damage right over the wall. Going to be playing around this statue now. The Vancouver TItans going to be meeting them head on. You can see early wall laid down by both of these teams, not catching out too many of these players. Gargoyle getting frozen up here. The process caught out of position just a slight tad, but it is Fire who will be the first casualty as the immortality field fades as well. Vancouver TItans with a bit of a disadvantage now coming into this fight as they're stunned up and locked up in the choke. Unable to really withstand a lot of this pressure that's being pumped out by this Florida Mayhem squad. It's going to be the early capture of checkpoint A.
Great flank through Hotel by BQB. He's got Gargoyle behind him just to provide a bit more support and a shield if he needs it. And that seems like that's what they want to go for. Little mini flanks with Gargoyle and BQB to create off-angle pressure from the DPS and from an off-tank that could be considered a DPS with how much damage it does at times. So Vancouver, again, we've been saying this before on map 1, but turning up the pace is really important and denying those off-angles. Look at Florida's positioning here, too. They want to go with a flank here for OG around the side, try and catch them at the back. He doesn't have a Shadow, but he does have a Lucio.
They're trying to go for a little bit of a split approach here. They've caught a couple of the teammates off guard, but again, a bit of miscommunication. The Amp Matrix comes through and OG blown up as he was mid-fire strike swing. Not able to get anything done off of it, and the Vancouver TItans, that's a critical place to hold now. This choke point can be pretty brutal, even for the best of teams to try and break past. Linksa is, okay, playing deep. He knows that there's somebody up here. Okay, it's not going to be getting away with that one. Gananjim just kind of broke his ankles a little bit. Trying to catch his players off guard now. What a gravitic flux! Catching so many of these players. The immortality field is going to negate a lot of the threat of it, just in case, but eventually that's going to fade. Florida Mayhem still looking for opportunities to collapse onto them. Another off-angle approach here by Gargoyle, but it's been spotted out and jumped on immediately, and that's going to be the Blizzard thrown out. There's no risk of it being ate up by Gargoyle. Using that grasp, Sandbar is going to be used to try and keep OG up and alive. The shield will break, and he will fall. Vancouver TItans, I mean, they are just honestly spotting a lot of the weaknesses of what Florida are getting away with here. Previously, you know, Gargoyle was getting away with a flank here, BQB maybe as well, but they're jumping on that quicker than in the previous map.
I like that. The punish onto Gargoyle was good, but you can also see that OG had a decent idea of what he wanted to do there too. As soon as everyone went to punish Gargoyle, he tried to shatter them at their backs. So good play by Vancouver to be still aware of that. And Shredlock comes out with his own shatter at the beginning of this fight. Unfortunately, Teru the first to fall.
See the Sandbar is now traded out by both, or just the one member here, as Fire is going to be using it just to try and keep his team back up, but that's going to be futile. Florida Mayhem locking it all down. Yaki's Blizzard doing a ton of work, and yet just the tail end of the team fight here as Florida finally break through this cursed choke point.
3 minutes on the clock too. Florida pushing forwards here. Seems like BQB's on cart duty at the moment, but the rest of the team is pushing forwards, trying to create that pressure. With Gargoyle, though, they aren't really going to be going extremely aggressive. They're not trying to get right in Vancouver's face, but just taking these forward positions and getting Gargoyle in a good off angle, close to this choke on the opposite side to OG, means he's going to continue to build up towards this flux.
See the Deadeyes being used now, or at least the Deadeye by BQB. Link's are going to be answering with one of his own as well. Quite get much out of it. A lot of the damage being pumped in through now as the Amp Matrix are falling, and look at that, Rolf with the pick onto BQB, the Gravitic Flux to answer. Skygo wants to try and convert this into a win, regardless of the man disadvantages that he's accrued. And they're going to do just that here, the Florida Mayhem investing and being rewarded for it. Finance 101. I was learning about that this morning, talking to some people who know more than me.
Yeah, would you invest in the Florida Mayhem right now? Are you investing in BQB's Soldier 76? I thought he was going to pull it out for us there.
Sure, I'd buy into that. I mean, he did kind of bait us a little bit. He was looking like he wanted to, but...
that's unfortunate. I would have loved to see them play some Soldier. That is a very unusual pick to play in a rush comp like this. OG is just getting flattened right now.
You can see the blizzards now, or at least the blizzard from Teru being thrown out. Slime going to be using the sound barriers to keep his team alive, but he's caught out in the corridor. Again, the ice wall is pretty brutal here. Okay, and the blizzard is catching 3 of them, but look at this. Teru ended up using his own ice wall, so they can't even capitalize. They can't push off the back of it. There's no way they can try and convert that into any sort of picks, and Florida, they are forced to back off.
I can definitely appreciate the confidence for Florida going for some of these plays. Investing ults when you're already down a man because you feel confident enough to turn it around, but most of the time they're just ending up being wastes.
His Lynx are just trying to stall out the inevitable. Going for a little bit of a cheeky play here as an off angle. Hits one headshot, not connecting on the second one here. Slime with the kill. A couple of swings now from OG, pinned against the ice wall. Beautiful work here as they just manage to sweep up the rest of the Vancouver Titans. And this card's going to start rolling in. A bit of a dangerous situation for the Vancouver Titans, despite the ultimates they've got, because they've got to get past this chokehold that they've got here at each exit.
And BQB's Deadeye too. If you get past the front line, BQB's waiting. Shredlock tried, but it's not going to work. 1 minute and 58 seconds on the clock.
Take a listen in here, the Mayhem's communications.
블루투스지. 여기서 하자. 가보자. 인기야 말 한마디만 해볼래? 나 이거 소리 좀 높일게. 아. 야, 한마디 아니냐? 한마디만 하라며. 좋았다 그래. 이게 복식 호흡으로 해야지.
All right, Danny, what you want to fill us in on what was going on there?
All right, guys, hi, I am here. I just heard the comms, so I'll just go down. I'll just go really fast. So I just heard that, you know, they really wanted to give it their all. They're like, okay, let's get this, let's get the win. And I also heard somebody saying, oh, hey, I can't really hear your audio, so can you say something? And one of the players from Florida Mayhem said, that's literally it. And they started laughing. And then they were talking about how, you know, you gotta get the sound out from your stomach, not through your throat. So that's it from me, guys. Good luck. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Danny.
Speak from the diaphragm. Speak from the diaphragm, Bren.
I was hunched over yesterday, so my voice was getting hoarse. I wasn't speaking. It was like literally broadcast 101. And I've learned my lesson. I'm learning from the Florida Mayhem as well. I'm stood up today.
I can't quite hear you, Bren. Can you make a noise from your diaphragm?
Is that good enough? That's kind of what they were doing.
Good.
Yeah, I'm reverting to my primal form with that one. Yeah, we'll see.
Florida have got control over the high ground here. Something I want to point people's attention to is how much Florida are trying to play this rush comp, but it's split in 3. So they have like Gargoyle playing with Slime and Gargoyle playing with BQB and Gangnam Jin, and then they're setting up flanks with OG, Yaki, and Slime. Pay attention to that because they've tried to do it multiple times now in this match.
Flashbang tries to go over to the shields. They're trying to set this up here, but look at this, the Florida Mayhem, the ones who are winning at the end of the day. Beautiful shots from BQB. Nicely done.
Yeah. They just did it again there, Bren. I don't know whether you noticed, but they split either side of the statue with their Batiste and their McCree and the Sigma moving to the right side, and then they've got a Wall and a Lucio and a Rhine on the other side. So they're trying to wall off opponents and speed boost the Rhine into them, whilst they have all of this damage coming from an off angle. It's such an interestingly slow way of playing this rush comp. It's so unique, actually. I don't think I've seen another team try and do this.
See that they're capable of trying to do something similar. You can see the Vancouver Titans really not wasting any time. The Matrix comes through, but what an Earth Shatter. Oh, gee. That's 2 players down, and it sets up BQB nicely with the Deadeye. As Terror is going to fall. Now it is a rumble in such a close corridor here. You can see Vancouver Titans just trying to edge us out, but ultimately they do not have the player advantage necessary to try and win out that fight. Back to the spawn door. 2 minutes remaining now, Josh. Florida with a good attempt so far, just holding them back.
Yeah, and that way that the Florida Mayhem is splitting up also makes it a little harder to punish Gargoyle, because if you turn to try and fight him, you got OG at your back getting speed boosted towards you. And now you're dealing with a big ultimate disadvantage too. For Vancouver Titans, this becomes a tough task. I think trying to put as much pressure on OG as possible quickly before Gargoyle and BQB can get value from the off angle is the play.
It's a ton of damage into Shredlock with the Blizzard laid down as well. And look at this off angle by Gargoyle. No one's checking him whatsoever. He's just getting in so much work with the Hyperspheres. Lynx are desperate to try and do something, maybe, you know, take a player down with him, but he's going to get shut down as well. And now the Florida Mayhem are actually going to be taking the high ground here. Because the
6 ults though for Vancouver Titans.
Yeah.
Well, essentially 6 ults on both sides apart from Yaki's Blizzard. I'd like to see them flank through Hotel here, get set up by the archway, and use Rolf's window to try and push people back. Not sure whether that's what they're looking to go for. They are flanking through Hotel. I'd like to see them try and use Rolf's window though to make sure OG can't close the distance. They don't quite have it yet.
BQB's been caught out of position. Flashbang around the side to plant the hammer. Oh my god. Reminiscent of So Min Soo. It's going to be doing it to him right there, bringing him down. You can see the Deadeye also going to be popped, but Lynx are pressing the issue, forcing his body into him, and there you go.
Yeah, the execution just wasn't quite there with Vancouver's strat. They faked the push into Hotel and then decided to try and speed boost kind of towards the point, but Teru went the wrong side of the statue and got caught off. It all ended up being a little uncoordinated there. And now they're trying to push into another Flux, and Yaki's up to another Blizzard too. There's only 20 seconds left, and those are 2 massive ults.
See the Blizzard now use. What a reaction. Shatter OG. Not going to be surviving, but he got the players down, at least trying to stall it out. Yaki falling as well. Going to be stalling up this point here. Very split positioning right now from the Florida Mayhem. BQB is walled off, unable to really do much. Gargoyle on the high ground as well. It is so scrappy, so messy. Eventually, the Vancouver Titans are just about grinding it out. Going to find this checkpoint A now with 2.5 minutes. Not as quick as the Florida Mayhem, but still workable.
Definitely workable, and they'll just be thankful that they got point A there, because that was looking tough towards the end. They forced some good ultimates out of the Florida Mayhem too. Now as we get towards the more tight, confined areas of Kings Row, into the streets, this I think is where Vancouver Titans should have a bit of an advantage. It's harder to go for flanks and take high ground positions with Gargoyle, Gannamji, and BQB. So if the Vancouver Titans can play around their ults here, try and use a Deadeye to push forwards and take some space. Oh, here it comes, the flank again. This little trio of Yaki, Slime, and OG.
Yeah, that wall's going to force Yaki out of position, though. And look at this Deadeye as well. Good timing from Gargoyle. Ends up using his grass. He's going to be healed back up, or at least gets a decent chunk of shield.
That's the Blizzard cancelled as well there. Yaki's Blizzard, he got killed in the middle of casting it.
Yeah, and OG caught out as well on top of it. Not able to get that Immortality Field. It's a little bit too scrappy now from the Florida Mayhem to try and turn this one around. The Vancouver Titans are the ones who are coming out on top here. Self-destruct sent in by Fried Wiener, but it's ultimately just to get back into his mech. As you can see them just trying to now get any sort of stagger kills they can on the Florida Mayhem, but they're going to play back here. Vancouver Titans probably quite pleased at this turn of events now, because you've got a minute now to try and capture it into point B.
A preemptive Amp Matrix from Rolf here would be great to stop them even coming close. And then Shredlock's your guy to see whether he can make something happen. Are they gonna go for it? The Amp Matrix is into the wall, but at least it's on that side of the Amp Matrix, I suppose.
Okay, you can see the Gravitic Flux is actually cancelled as well somehow. In the middle of that one, Gargoyle not getting what he was looking for. Still, Linksa will fall. A lot of damage being pumped out. The Ice Wall is going to be blocking a ton of it. Still, the card is being contested, not being pushed in just yet, and Shredlock will fall. The overwhelming might of the Florida Mayhem just overcoming what the Vancouver Titans were throwing at them. And that is a brutal one. Still, they managed to capture checkpoint B in the middle of all that chaos. So the Vancouver Titans just about squeaking out a bit of a lifeline for them.
And that's crucial because it unlocked extra time on the clock for Vancouver. This would be devastating if they hadn't managed to push those extra little inches forwards. But now Florida have many areas where they can go for these off angles. Once again, playing with a 3-3 split. It's OG, Slime, and Yaki on one side, and then the damage dealers on an off angle.
So the Earth Shadow was laid down there. OG also going to be matching with one of his own. I think it's just Fried Wiener on the floor, but that's all he needs. Again, 3-second rule. Wouldn't recommend eating it, but OG is the one who's cleaning it up. 4 players down.
And the Vancouver Titans have swapped themselves over to the Sigma as well, so they're buying into this theory that Gargoyle's selling them. You're talking about stonks earlier on and learning how to invest. They're certainly buying whatever the Florida Mayhem are selling.
What is going on here?
And this is
Okay,
some
just chucking in the
pain
blizzard,
happening in the corridor.
An intense battle that was occurring, I think. Yeah. I like it by the Florida Mayhem, though. You want to be playing close here. Just look at the amount of time they've already burnt off here. Only 40 seconds now for the Vancouver Titans. If they want to try and match the Florida Mayhem, I mean, this push is going to be in overtime.
And if it's in overtime, the best they can do is draw. So saddle up, we're in this for the long haul. BQB, he's got into
What is
such a
this?
nasty
Are you kidding me? Nobody checking this. They didn't hit a sound cue from behind. Or at least, I think they may have got confused because Linkser used his Deadeye at the same time, possibly? It's the only sort of justification I can think of for that. But nobody was aware of it, and he ends up catching the two players out, setting his team up beautifully for the rest of the fight. 9 seconds remaining here, Josh. And it looks like we're going to be seeing the full hold.
Yeah, you don't have to look so worried, BQB. Your team's got it locked up in the bag.
There you go.
That's it. The Florida Mayhem, they come away with King's Row with some interesting takes on what has been the rush meta in North America recently. They go 2-0 up in the series after, yeah, some close maps, but not really looking like Vancouver Titans had a chance to win at any point during King's Row.
And these teams, I mean, you can see that the Florida Mayhem, pretty much all business, going to be taking this halftime opportunity, of course, to talk about things, what's gone wrong. The Vancouver Titans with an opportunity now to also think about how they want to come back into this. But we're going to be going to a break, and obviously on the other side of it, the conclusion of this series is going to be met. Don't want to miss it, guys. You don't want to be anywhere else. Make sure you stay tuned for the continuation of the series.
Well, that match was a little bit less close, but still, it seemed like there were many openings where Vancouver could have came out on top there, but there were quite a few things I wanted to talk in before we go into the next map, which is Havanna. Mainly on Havanna, personally, I don't think Vancouver's going to win running D.Va into the Sigma, because that's the only difference between the two comps. You see Gargoyles on Sigma. For the most part, Fried Wiener has been on D.Va, but has been flexing over to Sigma in a couple situations. The one thing I always say is you never want to play near into your opposing team's comp. So obviously Florida has practiced a lot of this Sigma comp with it. And the fact that Fried Wiener is swapping from D.Va to the Sigma, they're pretty much swapping to the comp that Florida has practiced for, I'm sure, weeks, if not months. So if you end up swapping to try mirror, it's normally not going to work out great for you. So I would say probably keep Fried Wiener on the D.Va for a lot of it. Although on Havanna, Sigma is quite a bit better on Havanna. But personally, what I would like to see is Havanna has always been one of the better sniper maps in the game. I would like to see him keep Linkser in and actually bring back in Dalton and run some sort of double hit scan comp. Because I don't see them winning the mirror against the Sigma May, the fact that they've been practicing with D.Va. So I say if Havanna, the good sniper map, bring in Linkser again, bring back in Dalton, and try to make some plays with that. But it was still close. It's not like there were no signs of life for Vancouver. Although I was worried they were going to get full health there for a second, but that ended up not happening. So they still can bring it back. And if there's a map they were going to do it on, I think Havanna is probably going to be their best bet. Just having Linkser having more space to work. But other than that, I'm still not seeing a ton of individual standout players. I guess BQB is definitely making some pretty big plays. I think OGE was starting to hit a couple big shatters there too. So I'd say those might be the two that Vancouver needs to look out for. But I'm not seeing anyone on Vancouver in particular that looks like there's a single player why the reason they're losing it. If anything, it seems like Florida is just being a lot more proactive, a lot more aggressive setting up plays. And if you're running the D.Va against the Sigma and you're running mirror comps besides that, I think you have to push past that Sigma shield. If you play slow against the Sigma just does more damage than D.Va. So playing the slow game right there, he'll just be able to churn out more damage. He has a shield, so the rest of the other team has a shield to play behind. And he has his own shift where he can eat damage just like D.Va. So the benefit of running D.Va against that is you can easily engage past that Sigma shield, and then Matrix lasts for a lot longer than Grasp, and it covers a much bigger area. So what they want to be having is having Fried Wiener go in, Matrix the Baptiste, deny heals and then fight with that. But that's still a pretty tough win condition. And again, on Havanna, maybe it's just because it's Havanna, I hate the map, but I would like to see double sniper played there more. But down 2-0 going into halftime. Both maps have been relatively close, closer than I think a lot of people thought they were going to be. It seemed like all the predictions from the Overwatch League side thought it was going to be like a hard sweep for Florida. But both those maps definitely went, well, more so Nepal than Kings Row. But Kings Row still had plenty of opportunities where Vancouver could have came back and turned it some more there. They do double sniper with Hanzo. Actually, Hanzo could be really good against the double shield because there's a couple of different ways you can go. Oh, is it starting back up already? Oh, even though I do like the idea of Hanzo, if you go with the Hanzo comp, that's pretty much saying that you're going to go for a full shield spam comp. And against double shield, Ryan Sigma, it can be hard to break those shields. But yes, Hanzo does do a ton of shield damage. He could be pretty good against it. It looks like they're keeping in Teru, so that makes me think that they're going to be keeping the Mei. So I'd say expect to see more fried wiener on Sigma though. Havanna, Sigma has always been much better than D.Va. Like the last two maps were close. It'd be nice to see this Vancouver come out top so we can go to more maps. I'm going to say they will. I'm still saying 5 maps. At 5 maps, we get breadsticks. Let's go take it to Havanna.
Really going to be putting a lot of emphasis on their heavy-hitting DPS partners.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair analysis of how I expect Havanna to go. But for Titans, the positive side is that the defending team tends to try to set the tempo. If you're on defense and you start there, which it's I believe is what the Vancouver Titans are going to be starting on right now, you get to kind of set which comps get run. If you want to start with a rush comp straight out the door, then it becomes a little more difficult for Florida to attack with the double shield. It's very possible, but most of the time we see mirror comps defined by what the defending team is playing. And this is an opportunity for Vancouver Titans to start out on a good footing by playing close up on their defense, getting value out of Teru's walls, Shredlock's aggression, the speed boost from fire. They've been close. They've been close to putting something together that scared Florida over the course of this series.
Yeah, there's definitely been glimmers of it. And at times they've been, as we said, I mean, they've been close to taking rounds and series, or maps, I should say. We'll see what they're capable of now as we're heading over to Havanna. And it does look like they're just opting into the rush composition, so going to be holding close as well. This is an important takeaway here. And the Florida Mayhem are as well. Not going to be buying into any of the Arisen nonsense, just going to be going straight up for the rush comps like as we've been seeing. But it happens first. This is a brawl at the gates. Gonna be the quick little flashbang off at the side here. Gargoyle again with the offhand. You can see Slime just peppering in damage, seeing if he can convert it into anything, and that is way too much for Shredlock to overcome. He's going to be brought down initially. They still need to deal with a lot of these other threats. However, the longer this fight goes, and I say this often, the better it's going to look here for the attackers. Florida spawn just right next to it. Going to be wandering out. And the fight eventually, inevitably, will be going their way.
I'm interested to see whether Florida take the opportunity to change their comp, but it doesn't look like it. They're going to continue to go aggressive and try and lock these the defenders as they come back to try and recontest point A. Going to try and lock them out of this high ground control that they would love to take. I want to see more flanks. Florida have been showing us some weird looks with the flanks that have been going on. BQB had a big one with the 2K Deadeye. Gargoyle and Ganamjin have been going on their own little off angles. I want to see more of that over the course of this map. That's what's been exciting.
You see Rolf actually using the amplification matrix. Deadeyes were used by both these players, and look at the damage. I mean, it's just evident right there in the kill feed. OG and Ganamjin were the ones who fell early on in the team fight. Yaki just gave up there. He realizes it's pretty much futile. And 2.5 minutes.
They took that engagement though, Brent, really fast as Gargoyle was just stuck on the staircase. Gargoyle couldn't add any damage to the fight, couldn't add his shield to the fight. They were essentially just 5v6. That's what the Titans need to do. Find those opportunities. Florida are playing quite a slow-paced style. They are offering you timings that you can go in onto them, but you have to be fast enough to take advantage.
See Sound Barrier being used by Slime, just trying to keep his team alive. The Blizzard going to be locking up Shredlock. caught out of position. It's going to be a perfectly timed soundbite by Fires. He's trying to keep his team back into it, but a Gravitic Flux now should be free. It's a ton of damage. Can anyone get anything out of it? Yes, they can. It's going to be the D-Mech. Shredlock, the tank line removed now. Vancouver TItans don't have anything to really stand behind. Have to try and stand on their own 2 feet. It's going to be difficult to do. As Florida Mayhem are just pumping out an onslaught of damage. And with that team fight win, it's quite awkward. It's probably going to mean that this first checkpoint is going to go the way of Florida. Vancouver TItans might be able to contest it, but I think it's probably safer to just opt out.
Yeah, they have some big ults if they want to try and go for it.
They are going to do it.
It looks like they do. They're still a couple of meters away. They can certainly try.
Okay. Our Matrix, the wall, the shatter is there. Shredlock knew that was coming. OG went for it, a reaction play. A couple of swings going in. And Deadeye actually does catch BQB as well. Vancouver TItans with an opportunity now. A big pick there. BQB was a tremendous amount of the damage that was being offered for them, and Shredlock just going to seal it and lock it away. The Earth Shatter just connecting onto OG, but that's the only target he needed. And here's the Florida Mayhem. Going to be going back to the drawing board here with 45 seconds left. What a great recontest for the Vancouver TItans. If they were listening to me, probably would have been looking at a hold on checkpoint B by now.
But this is looking really good for them. They have a great opportunity here. The Florida Mayhem have expended big ultimates that they tried to use to secure checkpoint A. And instead it's Teru with the magic in his hands. This is what they tried to do last time as well. Take the fight to Florida, push them, punish them, get that Blizzard down on the floor. And it's worked wonders. Only 10 seconds remaining really on the clock here. And Florida are back in the respawn queue.
Yeah, it's not looking doable now. The longer this gets staggered, the worse it's going to be, and they recognize that. You can see them being chased in close quarters, the amplification matrix. Linksa was chasing one of the players. It does mean that Slime is going to be able to contest this, and the players are falling here. This was pretty much in their hands. All they had to do was just play safe and conservative and prevent them from touching the point, but they don't do it. The Vancouver TItans, they were handed something, but they may have just dropped it on the ground. Shredlock and Teru are going to be falling next to D-Mech onto Fried Wiener and the Florida Mayhem. They see weakness, they pounce on it. That overtime push, well, that's going to be converting into that point A.
It's a tragedy, Bren.
That is pretty egregious.
I mean, that's just a fumble. That is a fumble. You have an opportunity to lock up this map. It's not one at that point, but look at this. They all just get trapped in this room. This is already deep in the fight once the fight is done, to be honest. The kill from Linksa was pivotal, but even like Teru beefs his wall as they're trying to back up. They can't slow down Florida Mayhem. They're slow to transition back to the payload. They've dropped the ball.
The Vancouver TItans not wasting any time getting back into this. Just got to move on if you're a pro player, you know, can't let it get to you. Move forwards now. The Deadeye going to be used by Florida Mayhem, just trying to peel them away. Blizzard overlaid as well, just trying to catch these players, but look at that Gravitic Flux. Sandbarrier instantaneously. Okay, the Earth Shatter counted out. OG going to be connecting at least onto Linksa. This fight is going all sorts of different ways. The Ice Wall trapping fire in. If fire gets frozen, it could be over, but he just left a slight gap, and it allowed Fried Wiener to just get in there and bring down Yaki.
Yeah, that was pretty unusual, to be honest. This fight is slowly but surely going the way of the Vancouver TItans. They managed to get enough picks in that engagement. A Shredlock with the shatter from the high ropes. He was lifted up on a Gravitic Flux. It should do more damage or stun a longer distance if you do it like that. Talk to the devs. See if they can implement that into the game. Now Florida are attacking with a minute on the clock. Always have that Amp Matrix to open things up. It's such a great engaging tool. And this flanker on the left-hand side is going to give them access to the high ground really early on.
Man's talking Sigma buffs. He was in the meta for long enough, Josh. What do you want?
It's more of a Rhine buff, really, isn't it? If you drop from a higher height, you do more with the shatter.
Yeah. Right, Wiener. Self-destruct here. Yaki going to be falling again. And the Florida Mayhem, they're a bit indecisive here. You can see OG going to the high ground. He has to charge to get out of there. If he gets away with his life, it'll be a success now. 18 seconds now here, Josh. Florida are really struggling to just try and approach a lot of these fights.
They are. They'd love to take high ground control, but it's been denied away from them. Vancouver TItans have done a good job at scouting, and they're holding this staircase. BQB is looking at Deadeye from the high ground. So many targets.
Okay. Kill's gonna be traded. Links are gonna be cancelled out of that Deadeye. And the Blizzards gonna be locking down the point. Another Gravitic Flux is a ton of damage. Gargoyle with 3. Look at the work he's putting in right now. He's gonna be using the shield to block a lot of the damage coming his way. And he has just about clutched this fight out for them. But only in the overtime now.
That's a monster play from Gargoyle. Absolute monster play. And Lynx is caught with his pants around his trousers. I mean, that was... He just...
Around his trousers.
Yeah, his pants around his ankles, maybe. Pants around his trousers. Don't you wear pants around your trousers?
Sure, sometimes. Depends how adventurous I'm feeling. Anyway, we'll see. Freeze up onto the fried wiener. They're going to be using a self-destruct just to try and get back in the sound barrier by fire. It's going to be a big advantage. He's trying to force OG into this corner, but he's swinging away. He's still alive. They've kept him up, but not for much longer. He will fall. Still, the overtime will burn. They need to try and bring down some of these players here. Nobody's taking care of Gargoyle, but they didn't take down Stretlock. And now they're just going to be approaching him with the shield here. You can see eventually trying to bring him down. He used the grass just to try and heal himself up any sort of amount, but not enough. And they're going to be stopped dead short there of checkpoint B.
In the end, it's still a pretty good defense from the Vancouver Titans. It could have been better. Let's not lie, it could have been better. They had a great opportunity to full hold on checkpoint A. But from a big picture point of view, this is still a very winnable map here for Vancouver. It's been winnable at various points throughout this series so far. Map 1, extremely winnable. But this has been their next best opportunity to take a map and extend this series and put the pressure on the Florida Mayhem. They need a good attacking round right now. And we don't know what Florida are going to run on defense. They could run double shield. They could run a rush comp. It's hard to predict. So Vancouver have to be prepared for all of it.
Hey there. Hello.
They really do.
Hey. Hey.
And both of these teams, I mean, as we've been pointing out, they're just trending towards a lot of these rush compositions. The Florida Mayhem.
I am surprised, Brent. I'm not going to lie. I am surprised that Florida are not going for a double shield comp here. When they already want Gargoyle to be playing the Sigma, it makes more sense to me to have BQB play the Hanzo, for example, and play, even if you just want to play May Hanzo with that. And it really leans into their split flanky off-angle style that they've been running, but they are slaves to the meta perhaps, because rush it is. OG picking up the big hammer.
You can see the way that they split up their tank line here. I mean, Gargoyle is pretty much left on an island, but a bit of an off angle, just playing back here, and he's going to be slamming in this consistent damage. OG, okay, just about wriggled his way out of both of those ice walls as Terra tried to trap him in. Look at this already. It's going to be BQB finding the first opening pick as Linksa will fall. The Immortality Field as well going down as Rolf used it a little bit earlier than his counterpart. And that is a very successful forward hold here by the Florida Mayhem. They're going to be pleased with that. They didn't lose anything, which means they can still keep the forward hold going.
That's the key. Even if you trade 1 for 6 as the Vancouver Titans here, it's still good for you. Because by the time you all respawn, that is a 6v5 fight. The Florida Mayhem player is not going to be there. Yep. So you need to catch that pick at some point during the fight.
The window's going to be laid down, but again, it's going to counteract that with the ice wall. They're doing a good job so far with a lot of this ice wall placement. Oh, and Linksa winning out that fight, but look at that Earth Shatter. It's going to be a connection onto Rolf and Linksa, and it's enough damage put in that Slime can just finish up Rolf in the backline. He's still hunting for targets, but it's looking a lot more favorable despite the look of it, the outlook for the Vancouver Titans, because the players are starting to respawn. They can just dip right back into the spawn door. The Immortality Field comes up to keep Linksa up. And eventually they will be the winners. Yeah,
it took a long time though. That's a minute and a half off the time bank there, Brent. That's a great forward hold, extremely successful. And Florida have used it to channel some big ultimates too. They're now coming back into this with a wealth, a plethora. They can approach this fight however they like. But 6 ults on the board as well for Vancouver Titans. This is going to be a big defining fight as to how point A goes.
See what they're capable of doing here. BQB's Deadeye will stave them off. They're pushed away for now. No one really wants to play within the line of sight of it, but eventually he lets it go. It gives Vancouver Titans an opening now to repush the window again with the Deadeye this time, comboing it up. The Vancouver Titans looking for a pick-off. A lot of damage being pumped into them. The Gravitic Flux as well. It's going to be in a sound barrier coming through, but look at this. The Vancouver Titans, they will not be denied this. Rolling through this first checkpoint now. OG caught out of position. Again, inevitability. That's a big word.
Yeah, easy for you to say. Lynx has been a beast for the Vancouver Titans. He's come in on this attacking round. He finds an immediate pick onto BQB in the second team fight, and then he's just been able to blast through. I don't know quite how he managed to catch Gargoyle with his Deadeye. It looked like he was going to take out OG, if anybody, but he finds that pick and converts on the rest of the cleanup kills as well. Lynx has got to perform at this kind of level if Vancouver want to win.
See Florida just trying to take the fight to them. If they can get a pick off, might be doable here to just try and stop them early on. Shadow connects onto 2. They're going to be frozen up in the process as well, as the blizzard was already laid down. The Florida Mayhem investing quite a few ultimates into that fight to try and at least hold it here at the door. They've got to do it. I mean, look at it. The win condition for the Vancouver Titans, they only have to push it to the end of this warehouse. It's not that far at all.
It's not that far, but point B in Havanna is pretty tricky when it comes to these rush comps, because the defenders always are going to have the high ground advantage. They can control staircases, they can drop on you, they can choose the timings for when they want to engage. The positive factor here is that Florida are quite a slow team, so they're probably not going to take the fight to you too much. And Vancouver have a massive ultimate advantage to work with. So pushing a little slowly here, waiting for Rolf to get up his Ant Matrix is going to give Vancouver a great win condition. And they're getting up this staircase without being challenged by Florida. That's a big mistake by Florida Mayhem to let them get that high up.
Bit of an off-angle approach. Flashbang into the accretion. Oh, but it's BQB who gets caught out. What a read by the Vancouver Titans, recognizing that. They immediately jump on the player that they thought was out of position. The Ant Matrix will be dropped, eventually fading here. Another big flashbang as well, connecting onto 2 players. Florida Mayhem just hemorrhaging players in this team fight.
The staircase outside, Brent, is such a crucial point of control. If you scout and you see that the Vancouver Titans are pathing towards there, you need to have your Lucio speed you over to counter them, to match them at the top of the staircase. They just gave Vancouver control of all of that high ground area, and now they're in the perfect position to win this map.
Thought the wall was going differently. Teru, that's a bit of a rare mistake there. Ended up putting the wall a little bit too much to the side, and the blizzard as well. A bit of a panic, I think, just throwing it out, trying to contest this. Gravitic Flux indoors. Somebody needs to drop now onto this cart. You can see the backline being punished here. Winner trying to get in there with the Diva. The charge comes through, but Linkser with the Deadeye. It is chaos in the upper rafters section as ultimates are being strung out all over the place. Shredlock with the Shatter is going to connect. Gargoyle will fall. Fire just trying to at least follow up on a lot of this work that's being done. BQB 7 health, unable to really contest this and touch this. The Immortality Field not enough, and the Vancouver Titans rolling it in. They made it a little bit more difficult for them, but at the end of the day, they do walk away, and they're still in this series 2-1.
Hanging on there. The Vancouver Titans set themselves with a prime win condition with that excellent defense that we saw, almost holding the Florida Mayhem at point A. And Florida managed to push it a little bit deeper with some magic coming out of Gargoyle. There were some big moments, but at the end of it, it's Vancouver coming away with the win. And a theme throughout this match so far is that Florida look way more uncomfortable on this Reinhardt style than the double bubble, the Winston Zarya that we saw them play against Atlanta. As we go deeper in this series, there are more opportunities to play Winston though, so fear not, Florida fans. It still seems like you guys have the advantage in this series.
And we're going to find out if that's even capable of doing here. If the Vancouver Titans can come back into this, get a reverse sweep going, who knows? Maybe we can see it twice in one day. We'll find out on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
Wow, who thought that was going to be a sweep? Who thought Florida was going to sweep? Not me. Definitely not me. Well, I guess Double Sniper was not needed. If Vancouver keeps playing the main engages like that, I could easily see them winning out the series. Because I would definitely say, if I had to give that map to one player in particular, I would say it's Teru, who is the one player in Vancouver who is playing from Korea. I believe he's probably on like 200 ping or something. The fact that he was getting that much value with Mei with that ping is pretty crazy, because specifically that last fight alone, I think he won him that game solo. He ice-walled off, like, BQB, and then killed, I think, 3 or 4 on the point by himself, so... I think from the player camera, it looked like, I think Linkster might be getting subbed back out with Dalton, even though I thought he also had a pretty good map there, too. He had a couple, maybe questionable plays where he got caught, like, out of position, but if anything, I'm perfectly okay with those, because those are signs that Vancouver is trying to play more proactively and trying to actually make plays. And sometimes they don't work. Sometimes it'll make you look bad. People will be like, wow, what the hell was Linkster doing here? But normally there's a strategy to that. If you ever see someone like doing some weird flank that it might just look like they're out for no reason, I guarantee that was discussed with the team, and those are plays they're looking at making. So I would like to see Vancouver keep doing more of that. I imagine they're going to keep sticking with the Mei. It looks like they finally figured out kind of how to play the D.Va against the Sigma. I don't think Friedwiener went Sigma at all that map. I expect to see him just stay D.Va for the rest of them. Because again, when he swaps on the Sigma, that's what Florida wants. That's the comp they've practiced. Gargoyle's one of the best Sigmas in the game. Not that Friedwiener is a slouch, but I definitely say they would want to keep him on the D.Va. Do we know what the next map is here? I actually don't have it in front of me. My goodness, 1 second. I know it was on the stream, yeah. Other than that, well, I'll get the next map in a second. Volskaya? Okay. Then yeah, you'll definitely see more of the Mei. I don't think Sigma is quite as good. I'm actually shocked that they were able to beat the Sigma with D.Va on Havanna out of any map. Havanna has historically been like one of the best Sigma maps, just because of all the angles you can like play separate from your team on. But it looked like Vancouver was doing a better job actually punishing that. Like the times where they saw Gargoyle kind of on the flank, it looked like they were just trying to faster rush down with Mei and everything else, which is what I thought their best win condition would be. So I'd like to see a lot more of that. On defense, they looked very stable. They almost full held that first point. So I would expect to see a solid defense from Vancouver on Volskaya. But with 2CP, if what happened with them yesterday on Hanamura, they have to just be very careful about not getting picked early on defense. If you lose someone early, especially like a Reinhardt or like a Baptiste, that first point hold is hard. But Volskaya also isn't quite as rough as Hanamura, where if you do lose first and get snowballed, it's still a lot easier to cap out. So you don't have to worry about never being able to cap last. Volskaya, it's a lot easier. It looks like next map is about to already start based off the timer I'm seeing on the countdown. Unless that countdown timer was wrong and I'm looking at something different. Oh, I still got time. Speak from my experience going on the flank. As someone has many, many of years going on the flank, there's a time and a place for it. And I don't know if Volskaya is either the place nor if it's the time for it. Hanamura or Havanna, I can see it. But on Volskaya, especially when you're on defense, and if you die, you won't be back in the fight, you have to be a lot more careful going for flanks. Or if it's a flank, you have to be 100% sure it's going to work. Other maps, payload maps, cloth maps, that's one thing. 2CP is a whole different ball game for that. How would I balance Mei? I mean, if anything, I think I've always said if it's ever a Mei meta, it's probably not a great meta. Although, honestly, this isn't that bad. The fact that it's not that much double shield being ran, I don't mind Mei, but it's when Mei's like a perma run where it can get a little bit rough sometimes. If anything, I think give her Ice Wall a little bit less health so it's not as oppressive, which I think they actually nerfed it not too long ago, but Mei still is pretty darn good. But, yeah, I don't really mind Mei as long as, like, it's not like Orisa, Sigma, something else with it. When I think about Fire's play, I think a lot of people thought Slime was going to be, like, the big difference, but I've always said if you don't really notice a Lucio, that means he's probably doing good. And I've seen Fire make a couple plays, he got some picks here and there, but for the most part, he hasn't, like, died mid-beat anywhere. His beats have seemed fine. His positioning seemed fine. So, overall, he definitely is not, like, any of the reason that Vancouver lost those first couple maps. He seems like he's doing a solid job, and that's really all you can ask for from a Lucio. But, other than that, it's nice to see it go to a 4th map, no sweep, one more map. I touched on it a couple times earlier, but if this does go to 5 maps, Pizza Hut's got a deal, free breadsticks. These aren't from Pizza Hut. These are way worse. Theirs look much better. I can guarantee you that. So we don't want just the win here, although we do want the win, of course. We want that 5th map for the free breadsticks. So on Volskaya, like I said, I still predicted 3-2 Vancouver Titans. My prediction's looking better and better by the minute. So let's make me look smart here. Let's go, Vancouver. Other than that, I will see people at the end of next map, win or lose. Let's go, Vancouver.
As well as Dalton's coming in.
Yeah, Dalton coming in for Teru, and that indicates to me that we're going to start to move perhaps a little further away from the Mei compositions and more towards Double Bubble with Tracer and Ashe and those kind of heroes getting more playtime. Which makes sense because the map that we're going into is Volskaya Industries. And unfortunately for Vancouver, just after grabbing their first map win in the series, they're going to have their hardest map yet because we're not probably going to be playing Rush. We are probably going to be playing the comfort picks of the Florida Mayhem, the thing that they proved that they were excellent at when they played against the Atlanta Reign, this Double Bubble dive.
Yeah, Volskaya definitely suiting towards that. I mean, we've seen it not just in this season. I mean, previously, it's a map that's always suited these kind of Winston compositions that people like to play up close and personal, the rotation happening with Nano Boost and Primal Rage. And we're going to be heading into it shortly. As these teams are just prepping and raring to go. It is quite unfortunate, but that's how the map pool lies for the Vancouver Titans. And who knows, might be possible. Listen, you know, we've seen stranger things
definitely
happen in
the
the Overwatch League.
We've seen some crazy upsets today. Or rather, we've seen one crazy upset today. You know, at the end of the day, we might not even consider some of these early season results upsets when we look back at them, you know? Of course, that's the thing. When we start a season, we come in with a lot of preconceived notions of where the teams should lie, how strong they look on paper, what the rumors are from behind the scenes of how well they've been performing. But what actually defines success is how well you perform in the matches themselves. If Vancouver Titans come out and they sweep the rest of this series and then they go on to win in weeks 2, 3, and 4, people are going to redefine their expectations of this team.
Yeah.
That's what it means to be successful, is to win when it matters. And yeah, all of the, like I said at the beginning of this cast, people feel like they're starting to get answers here, but it's important that we realize these are only the beginnings of answers, the tasters. There are still many more questions yet to be asked of these teams as they go throughout the league. And this might be the toughest question to be asked of the Vancouver Titans yet in this series. How do you deal with this double bubble defense with Yaki on the Echo? My word, he's good.
Yeah, Yaki puts on a bit of a clinic when he's playing that Echo role. I like to make some hot takes, you know, every now and then.
Okay.
I recently made the claim that Dante was the best Echo in the world after watching him for one game. You know, but
I can get behind that at the moment, though. You know, Dante's looking like a freak on that.
Sure, but Yaki honestly makes a close case as well on the Echo. He's a very formidable player. It's going to be hard for them to get past, but it looks like the Vancouver Titans are going for a bit of a split approach. You can see Dalton on the Tracer just drawing attention into the back line, and now you're going to see the roll through. Shredlock, he's got a lot of shields applied, so it's nice and healthy, but they've got to try and coordinate something and get something going with the Wrecking Ball here.
Vancouver Titans are running a very pokey comp, and they've managed to push Florida and bait them into diving. This is, that was a unique approach, and I'm surprised that it worked so phenomenally well. They managed to maneuver their players into really advantageous positions, and they've got a lot of damage coming through from short range with Linksa, and then Rolf in a great position to get out a huge amount of damage in the team fight too. OG never really had that go button pressed. They didn't know when to engage. They just slowly got backed up into a corner, pushed with their backs to the wall in the Mega Room, and they couldn't make anything happen.
It's a nice bio-nade from Gangland Jim, but you're right, Josh. It's been a bit hit or miss so far from the Florida Mayhem playing this composition. And we'll see. Though early days yet in this map. First time we've seen them so far in this series as well, but playing it. Yaki just getting the recall forced out of him. Wants to try and take the 1v1 with him and Dalton off on the flank and the side, but Linksa ends up assisting him as well. The Discord Orb was applied onto Yaki. Dalton with a pulse bomb, not getting too much done, but he is just being a bit of a nuisance. Just messing around in the backline here, trying to apply a lot of pressure to BQB, and they get the kill as well. And now with the forward positioning still, the Nano Boost applied onto OG means that he can Cause a bit of havoc as well. Needs to back away, but now the Primal Rage comes out. Maybe he can collect a kill or two. Beautiful mechanics as well. Just singling out Linksa there in the middle of that fight. And it buys enough time for the rest of his team to get in, but not before. It's given the Vancouver Titans about a tick to work with, 41%.
OG is so talented on the Winston. His mechanics when it comes to stuff like primaling and engaging is world class. It really is. There's never been a doubt when it comes to the actual mechanical skill of this guy. And they look pretty comfortable. But I'm most interested in Vancouver. We've seen the Houston Outlaws use this composition, or a very similar one, when it came to their Dorado play against the San Francisco Shock in just the match prior. It's a lot about the synergy that Shredlock and Dalton can have with each other onto the backline to see if they can find picks on Gangnamji Slime, and then just a large amount of damage coming down from Linksa, from Rolf, getting set up in the best positions.
Shredlock just being pestered here. Now the Graviton Surge is going to come through. It does connect. Catches a couple of these players. You can see them getting these picks off the back of it as well. BQB and Gargoyle finding those, and Florida Mayhem happily trying to just press forward here, and they are getting rewarded for it. I was wondering if they were going to get any straggler kills. The Vancouver Titans just not completely disengaging there.
Vancouver Titans have a Grav Pulse Bomb combo, but what they have to be aware of here is that Florida are looking to engage with OG Nano Boosted. At some point here, OG is going to jump into their backline of the Zen and the Brig with a Zarya bubble on him, and he's going to be nanoed. And the question then becomes, do you want to try and save your Grav to catch him out? Fright nearly goes down there, actually. But you can use the Grav to bait OG in and punish him. This is a little too early, though, in the team fight to try and do something like that. You can just get the punish on anyway. That is a mad overextension, if I'm being honest.
I mean, the Vancouver Titans, they were just more than ready for it. You can see the Fry win, and look at this. Just lobbing the Grav in, rolling through. The damage is more than enough to pop the shield, the bubble that was placed on him. Gargoyle off the high ground. They're going to try and get this shield bash to rally, just trying to keep them up. But it's pretty much only on Slime. It looks like the Florida Mayhem are disciplined enough to just focus onto the back line as well. They noticed that the Vancouver Titans may have been weak there, but Yaki. This guy is just a bit of a freak when it comes to the Tracer. Quick little switch up, and he has secured them that little win there when it was looking a little bit dicey.
The silver lining to OG dying so far away from the point is that he respawned really quickly and was able to get immediately back to contesting that objective. So now he has his primal up. Gangnam Jim's built another nano boost, by the way, too. So OG's going to be even more powerful when he tries to engage this time around. This backline is going to need some help, and this time they have no grab. There's no question about what you do with it because it doesn't exist. So it's about getting your players in a good position and trying to survive, to be honest. OG's dive with the nano and with the primal is going to be devastating for the backline here unless they're ready for it. Fire with a great whip shot, that is good.
Oh, OG just opting to only use the primal. I thought he was about to get a couple of the players knocked off there. Shredlock is the one to go down. And so they're saving the nano boost for the next fight here. A lot of damage being done here, and his team needs to back him up for OG to just re-engage, burst the bubble, maybe get a pick. Indeed, his team does. Beautiful follow-up happening here. They did end up using the nano boost earlier in that fight. I'm not sure what the target was.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, actually, because it didn't seem like it was onto OG. I thought they were just going to be able to clean it up with the primal. I'm not sure they needed to use the nano there. I wasn't looking at it because I didn't think it needed to be used. A minute on the clock, though, for Vancouver Titans. No compositional changes. They're just going to run this one in. Look at how deep Yaki is. He's just escaped on the last flank with a Discord orb on his head and a bounty on his capture. He was wanted dead or alive.
He's out of there. He's got an armor pack for his troubles as well. He's good. Yeah, now the Florida Mayhem are they don't have the rotation of the Primal Rage and the Nano Boost, of course, but they do have other ults to work with. And Gargoyle is the guy that I'm watching, as you can see here. Let's grab it on Surge. It's probably going to be pretty big if he can catch it onto any sort of targets. And look at that, he's managed to catch 2 of them. The Transcendence by Rolf comes through, but it's not going to stop that post-bomb damage. Yaki, nice little 2K. 13 seconds remaining now. Bob has a last-ditch attempt here as Linksa sends it out into the fray, but ultimately not enough, as no players will really be coming even close here. Shredlock moving over to the Wrecking Ball, just trying to make it happen. Not going to be the case. That's going to be a stop. 75% was what the Vancouver Titans managed to achieve, but it gives a clear goalpost now for the Florida Mayhem to approach on their attack.
Yeah, I think Vancouver, you know, they had a decent idea of what they wanted to do. They clearly understand how the comp is supposed to function, but a lot of the smaller elements just weren't quite there. The coordination between Dalton and Shredlock didn't really seem to exist, and here we're going to see, I think, Yaki just following up on that grab. Stuck in the middle of it. Trans can't do anything. And a great position from Gargoyle to be able to land that grab on the back line in the first place as they're pushing in. I want to give a lot of credit to Yaki, though, in terms of how that defense worked. Because if you give too much space to Dalton, he's going to be able to get into your backline, put a lot of damage onto Slime and Gangnam Jin, and potentially sync up with Shredlock and get these dives working. When Yaki's so active on that right-hand side flank, around where the Mega is, it doesn't give Dalton any space. He's going to be able to play there. He's going to be out of line of sight of any Discord orbs as well. And he's going to be able to take the 1v1, and most of the time you would favor Yaki to win that. I think that ended up being a core part of why Florida were able to hold on.
Yeah, really just keeping players in check. I mean, Yaki on the Tracer is a scary prospect. And he was definitely doing a reasonable job of it. You can see the teams here getting ready to go. Doors are going to open up now, and it's time for the Florida Mayhem's attack. They're moving through.
Absolutely. They're going to be running double bubble on their offense too. So Vancouver Titans opting for the same composition on attack and on defense. It's a poke comp. It's designed to make OG's life difficult.
And that's exactly what Florida are doing here, is just taking stock of the positioning, the comp, what are they doing? And here we go, baiting the power driver in the bubble here. That's an opportunity to go in, but Yaki gets caught out by fire. Probably shield bashed. Didn't quite catch it, but assuming that was the case. And that's going to put a stop on things for now. The Florida Mayhem got to at least just wait this out. Lynx are in desperate need of some healing.
Yeah, OG hasn't really been able to generate any Primal Rage. He's going to take that Zarya bubble and work around the right-hand side. Slime caught, though. Well played by Shredlock, but he gets punished in return.
Yeah, it's going to be that 1-for-1. Slime gets caught out of position, but look at this nano boost. 100 charge as well. Lay it up onto Gargoyle. God, that is frightening. It's a good feeling, though, when you're the Zarya. I'll tell you that for free. I mean, when you got 100 energy to nano boost, you are unstoppable.
Yeah,
And
that is just beast mode.
Yeah, especially with all the sport in the world and nothing to stop it. There's few things in the game that can really just put a hamper onto that, but Gargoyle building up that grab, actually. So it's a bit unorthodox. Normally you see the nano boost applied onto, you know, the Winston just to try and build up the Primal Rage, but they're going to have this grab moving into this second checkpoint.
Yeah, let's see whether they can complete a snowball here. They already know what their win condition is. It'll be primed and ready in their head. 75%. They just need to get it a slightest bit further than that. Shredlock and Dalton are going to want to go for Slime and Gangnam Jin in the back line. You saw them try and go for it on point A, but Shredlock wasn't able to get out with his life. Here we go, jump into the back line as well. They have a Primal, but no Nano. OG, though, immediately with the kill on Rolf.
Yep, OG with a kill on Rolf, and he was battering fire into the corner to set up Yaki with the post-bomb play, but Dalton has tried to turn it around himself. Forced out the south bubble, and it's him and Shredlock who are actually countering a lot of this play and a lot of this aggression. A wonderful little sync up there to try and salvage that play that was occurring. The Florida Mayhem, yep, they're going to have to back off from this one. Wonderful work from both Shredlock and Dalton there, just really finding an opportunity to try and pounce on the backline while all that was going on.
And that's got to be the combo that works really well for the Vancouver Titans. Your backline is pretty safe. They're up on high grounds. Even if they get killed by an OG Primal, they're going to buy enough time. They're going to sucker everybody from the Florida Mayhem in towards the point and survive for at least a little while. But that counter dive with Shredlock and Dalton has got to be fierce. They've got a task ahead of them because there are only two guys up against Slime, Gangnam Jin, and Gargoyle. There's a lot to navigate there, but well done on that first defense. 4 minutes, though, is a long time to hold back the tide.
It's a long time indeed. And they've already got one tick. It's not much further until they get the map win and ultimately win the series. Vancouver have a lot of ults. You can see the nano, though, being applied to OG. And instantly going for the counterplay. The grab is laid down here by Winner, just trying to catch them out. But they've already lost Dalton and Fire. Could be disastrous for them. Already look at that tick going right up as Bob is just laying down suppressive fire from the point in the corner and nobody can touch it. And it's going to end with a whimper there as the Florida Mayhem are the ones to close it out 3-1. GG's in the chat all around. They will take the win.
A bit more of a solid final map there for the Florida Mayhem as they showcase that they are still the team that we remember them being from their first match. They go up to 2-0 in the first week, but I think there's still questions to be asked of this squad, for sure.
Yes,
we don't know everything about how this Florida team is gonna perform over the course of a long season. They seem like a team that's got strengths in some areas, weaknesses in others. Those are the kind of really interesting stories to follow, especially when so much of it revolves around that mercurial main tank that they have in OG and how he ends up slotting into this team. A valiant effort, though, from the Vancouver Titans. And the illusion there between the two teams is not intended. But it was a decent attempt, a 3-1 loss, but some of those maps that they lost were pretty close.
They were pretty close, yeah. I think signs of life for the Vancouver Titans. This was the intended, I think, or not the intended, but the expected outcome.
The intended outcome. You're just confirming that it's all scripted.
Yeah, I mean, I've slipped up a couple of times here today, Josh. I mean, I don't want to slip up any more. The people might catch on. But yeah, it's kind of the expected outcome that what we were thinking. But I think the Vancouver Titans, it's a different season compared to last. It seems like a lot of the teams, especially in North America.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like the reverse sweep will have to wait for another match. Another wrong prediction for me. But I feel like I don't feel bad for having made it, because ultimately that was another pretty close map. Not quite as close as some of the others, but I always like seeing some different comps there. We saw some Hammond played, some Winston, some Zen, which has always been Rolf's comfort pick, so even though it didn't end up working out, it was cool to see some of those different comps played. But I do think a few of that was the issue, though. Specifically on the attack, I think Hammond on Volskaya is very good for first. First point is super open, so you can kind of just roll out anywhere and get value from it. But then for last, I feel like there were multiple opportunities where Shredlock could have either swapped and gone like Winston or Reinhardt and might have got more value. Hammond on last against, like, especially the comp that Florida was running, is very hard. Like, you're pretty much just running it for your mines. You go, you try and mine point, and then hopefully get a tick or two with that, which they ended up doing, but 2 ticks isn't enough for Volskaya. On Havanna, 2 ticks might be good enough, but Volskaya, it's much easier to cap out on, and I think they just got stuck on that comp too much because they had success with that on first. So that's something for them to probably go back and look at going to next week, figure out. There were good signs with that comp. I like the idea of the comp. It's just, if it's not working, I think you have to swap away from it earlier. And the other point with that is, it looked like they were running Zen Brig for most of it, which, personally, I've never been the biggest fan of. There's very little healing with that comp. If you run that comp, it puts so much pressure on your tanks to just not take damage and to play safe. So that the comp can work, but it pretty much just forces everyone to play it to, like, picture perfection. So I think if they run that again, maybe they could run, like, Anna Zen or something, because Rolf has always been a beast on Zen. Like, that was his pick. Like, he was one of the OG Zens. So if they can get Rolf on a comp where they can run that Zen and make it work, I think they should be looking to do that. I just don't know if Zen Brig is enough healing to be able to keep them all up for that. But it's always cool seeing different comps played there. There were definitely good signs from it that they should maybe keep running certain things there. The Shredlock came in at some good value. Another couple things, it seemed like Rolf was very hesitant to use some of his ults on Zen, which it is always very hard to determine it there, especially against the Zarya, because a lot of times you want to try and hold that trank for the enemy team's grab, but there's some situations where when your team just starts dying or getting weak, that you just have to use it to keep, like, people alive. So a lot of little minor things that, again, I'm sure the team will go look at in VOD review and figure it out for upcoming match, which is next Friday at what time? I just had it pulled up also. 12 Pacific, our match next Friday against Paris Eternal, who is another... Man, we're really starting against a lot of the pretty good teams. So I don't think Paris Eternal is going to be quite as good as Florida. Florida, I definitely think, is, again, one of the better teams in the league, but we'll see. Ultimately, though, both matches this week, they took a map. Both seemed like they could have taken more maps, if not for some minor misplays. So I think compared to last season, there's a lot of good signs for Vancouver. I know a lot of people would have liked to see a win to start with. You know, 0-2 is no one ever wants to start 0-2, but ultimately, this is like as good of an 0-2 as you can ask for. There's a lot of good signs, a lot of stuff that they can easily improve on. I think going to next week, next Paris match, they should look even smoother from then. Plus, they have Teru, who's still in Korea, who is going to be getting moved over to Vancouver sometime within the next month, I think. So once he... around that. So once he's not on 200 ping, that should also help them a lot more. But let's see. It's obvious they need more heals. Yeah, like I said, Zen Bridding is just very little healing, which it can work, but it's very hard to execute properly. But other than that, I think that's most of the notes I had for this game. It was nice to see another close one. Unfortunately, the breadsticks from Pizza Hut will have to wait for another day, but always for next week for Game 5. But that looks like it's going to be it for me. Let me give a quick shout-out to I have it right here in front of me once I find it, to Sportsnet for running the Predict and Play with us for next week. Any matches, you can always predict what happens, get free points. Our merch store still has our 20% off, so if you want a cool jersey, hoodie, or whatnot, they're all there. And then other than that, I believe that's all the points I had. Producers, anything I missed? Anything I messed up on? I'm going to say it just like that. Join us again next week as we take on Paris Eternal at 12 and Washington Justice at 3. I will be back. I'm planning on having like a whiteboard, some sort of cool setup here. This was the first week. We're going to tweak it, work with it more. There should be some fun stuff in store here, though, that'll give you guys even more incentive to come watch me instead of the dumb old Overwatch League stream. This one's way cooler, but other than that, though, that's going to be it for us, and I will see everyone next Friday.
Treadlock now into the backline and gets with the both support.
Over the top, gets a double.
And here's a coalescence from the high ground for Rolf, and wow, the timing on that one looks so good.
Really.
Fielded and fire gets 2. That is crazy. Time and a great stick from Dal. That's 3 from him. Oh, no.